Everybody, it's Jimmy and Bill. Today's video is 10 tips on finding the perfect home. Stay till the end because every tip is really good. So here we go, we'll jump right into it. Bill, give me the first tip.
First tip is decide on what your must-haves and versus your wants are.
All right, so explain, elaborate a little bit.
Okay. Must-haves. Why are you moving? What's the overall goal that you're trying to achieve?
Mm-hmm.
Do you need more rooms? Do you need more square footage? Do you need less square footage? Do you need less rooms? Things of that nature. You know, do you tend to drive to work an hour and a half and you're just trying to cut your commute time? That's what I mean by like needs and wants. So that would be.
So basically, before you even start looking, sit down, put it on paper.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then just come up with a game plan. Exactly what you need, what you can live, maybe what you can live with. What, like things like, what I'm saying is must-haves would be great to have.
Yep.
And things that you can live without.
Right.
That kind of list.
Yeah, and typically you're gonna, once you start looking at houses, there's gonna be something that offsets one of your, I have to have this, and then there'll be something in the house or the condo or whatever you're buying that you're gonna go, I could do without that. That's not that big of a deal. You know?
Right.
There's always room for movement, but it's just a game plan that's also gonna help your realtor figure out what you're looking for and provide better service for you.
Okay. No, that's a good tip. Here's another tip. Before you start looking, decide on your budget. And remember, we did a lot of videos, and I'll post them below, saying just because you qualify for X amount of dollars doesn't mean that's what you should spend. What I'm saying is what you need to do is figure out where you would be comfortable on a budget. So sit down with a mortgage professional, because neither me or Bill are mortgage people, but sit down with a mortgage professional and figure out what the payment will be for your mortgage, your insurance. Don't forget the insurance, because
remember the insurance.
Don't forget the insurance. The taxes, not what they're going to be. If you're buying in Florida, not what they are now, but what they're going to be a year from now.
Right. Remember, when you buy a house, when you see on the MLS or any of the commercial sites that are forward-facing out there for customers to just search on, everybody knows what those are. Remember, those sites, when it says the taxes, that's based on the current tax year, which is based off of when they purchased the house.
Yeah, and Bill's talking about Florida, by the way.
Right. So we have Save Our Homes here in Florida, so your taxes don't go up more than 3% at any given time.
Right.
So that you don't have these massive increases in tax hikes.
Yeah, that's a big benefit of Florida.
Yeah, that's a very, very big benefit of moving here into Florida, because you kind of know. But it's going to be based off the taxable value of your house at the time of purchase. So for instance, an example of that would be if, like one of my listings, they had bought the house in the early 90s. I think it was 92, 93.
Yeah.
They sold it in 2022. So obviously the value of the house when it was purchased was different. Their taxes went up from that time, but it was based on what the house was purchased at in 1993.
Right.
Not
so
2023.
Like my taxes are low, and my next door neighbor's paying three times the amount of taxes that I'm paying because I've owned it for a while.
Exactly. Because what you bought it at, the values went up, and you know, your taxes.
So tip 2, sit down with a mortgage professional and find out what your payments will be, what you qualify for, and then start looking for a budget house. So tip number 3. Bill, you come up with tip number 3.
Right. All right, so you've kind of got your house needs, you've got your house wants, must-haves, and settles. You've maybe at least made a phone call to a mortgage professional, so you kind of understand what you're getting into when it comes to getting your mortgage.
Okay.
Number 3, now it's time to start, like I said, do you need to look for a house? Researching the areas around.
Okay.
What fits for you? What fits for your family, or what fits for your lifestyle? Those are the kind of things you need to start investigating.
So before you're even looking for a house, you're saying pick basically an area that you want to live in.
Right. So if you're moving, as an example, if you're going to move just for work, you don't care particularly about like Dunedin as an example has a ton of festivals. If that's something that you don't want to be around in, you don't want to have to deal with, then maybe not being close to downtown Dunedin would be a good choice. Those are the kind of things I'm talking about. Looking around, commutes
To work.
and stuff. You know, if you're big into boating,
Maybe
don't
you
move
want
an hour away from the water.
Yeah.
So pick an area that's closer to the boat ramp, something along those lines. So just start investigating where you are and what you like and how you get there. How long does it take you to get to a grocery store?
All right, that's tip
You
number
know?
3. Tip number 4, and this one I could talk about because I deal with them every day. Pick a reliable real estate agent. Well, if you're coming to Tampa,
If you're in Tampa.
call Bill. But anywhere where you are, pick a reliable. And I'm not saying don't pick a friend of a friend or a family member that has a friend, you know, that's a realtor, because you'll always have that. Find somebody, like I did one of my videos. Here's the key. Call them, see if they pick up the phone. If they don't pick up the phone, leave them a message. See how long it takes. See how long it takes for them to call you back. Tip 2: if you pick an area that you want to live in, tell them to drive you to the park there or the beach there, or a place that everybody knows about. And if they have to put it into their GPS to get you there, pick another realtor. So a reliable realtor is tip number 4, right?
Yep. Yeah, and I agree with you there. You know, if you're looking, we're not saying that a realtor that's moved here and doesn't know every nook and cranny of the area.
That's why I say a public place, like beach or,
yeah,
something major that everybody knows about.
Right, like Clearwater Beach.
Yeah.
You know, we're talking Fred Howard Park.
Right.
You know, not some little tiny
that's local
obscure
places around here that
Right.
everybody
You should
knows where it is.
It's really hard to miss it. There's signs everywhere for it. So, you know, a local real estate professional is really important, particularly if you're starting to relocate to a new area that you don't live in.
Yeah.
You know, they know these areas. They know the traffic patterns. They know the things that are out.
The hospitals, everything. They can answer all your questions, and they don't have to Google the answer.
Right.
All right. So now we're going to go on to tip number 5. Go ahead, Bill. Give me tip number 5.
All right. Kind of circles back to some of the previous ones. Once you've picked that real estate professional that you want to work with,
Yep.
go out and start looking at a few properties. Get a lay of the land. You
Okay.
know? Start to get a feel for things.
So you're saying look at properties with the realtor, or look at the properties on open houses, things like that,
Well,
or do drive-bys.
drive-bys are fine. You know, go drive around a little bit. But what I'm saying is, even if they have an open house, don't be afraid. I go to open houses all the time with my clients. You know, if you're not totally ready to buy, that's a different story. But the point of that is that, you know, if you're working with 2 realtors, that's not going to do anything for you. That's just going to cause problems down the road for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So we all draw from the same pond. You know,
Okay.
I have access to all the same listings that the realtor down the street does, so on and so forth. So it's not the old days where a certain office had a book of business.
Okay.
You know, it's fair market, it's open market now. So you're really kind of circling back. You're really choosing that real estate professional that you want to work with that's going to serve you the best.
Right.
Okay. Now, let's say you go to an open house. Remember, that realtor is working for the person selling the house, because that's where they're contractually bound. on
Right.
that
So
side.
they represent the seller.
They're representing the seller.
Right.
Okay. So just keep that in mind. But go tour some properties. There's no problem with that. Like I said, I've taken plenty of clients out.
All right. That was tip number 5. Tip number 6. Here's one. When you're buying a house or picking a house, consider your future needs. Like maybe your parents are going to move in with you, or maybe you always have a lot of visitors. So
You got a lot of hobbies.
Consider, like, don't buy something that doesn't meet your future needs. I'm not saying to go crazy, because that increases the price.
Right.
But future needs is something that you should really consider. You have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I agree. Just, you know, that goes back to, you know, what we talked about in the very beginning. which was talking about your needs and versus your wants.
Right.
Really, really honing in. And you know, when you're sitting down with your real estate professional, when you're kind of making that decision, they should also be asking you those questions. You know, really kind of helping you discern that information. So, you know, you're a step ahead if you've already kind of got it figured out. The real why involved there.
I mean, you might be a couple that just got married and you plan to have children in the really close near future, you know, and so you might consider an extra bedroom.
Right.
Things like that.
You work from home, you might need some extra office space to close the door and have a little more privacy.
So take your future needs into account when picking the perfect house. So that was tip number 6. So give me tip number 7.
Tip number 7, now that you found the house,
okay,
you've gotten pre-approved for the mortgage, you found the house, you got your down payment money, you put your contract in, get a home inspection.
Yes.
I cannot stress this enough.
Listen,
please get a home inspection.
Even if you're spending $500-600 on a home inspection, it's worth it. I can't tell you how many times I went in there and I found things that I could honestly say they wouldn't have found. And at the end of the day, most of the time, the seller ends up fixing the problem. But it cost thousands of dollars. Just a few days ago, I did a house and it was missing shingles. Now, if the person ended up buying that house needs a new roof. And to top it all off, they were paying cash. So they didn't even care about insurance right now.
Right.
So they were just gonna buy it. And now that the rainy season is starting in Florida, they were gonna have leaks. So they paid me to go out there and take a look at the house, but at the long run, and this was a clay roof, by the way.
Oh, wow.
So it's 50-60 grand for this one. Whew. You know, the little bit of money saves you a lot of money in the long run.
It can potentially, absolutely. You know, and if you are getting insurance, you know, on that topic, here in Florida, we have to have a 4-point and a wind mitt on most properties.
Yeah.
So to get your insurance, because there's separate inspections.
So a 4-point basically is the insurance companies wants to know the basics. Electrical, roof, you know, they want to make sure that the plumbing is okay, the air conditioner is okay, and the wind mitt, they want to know how the house is shaped, if it's a hip roof or it's a gable, and they want to know, you know, how old it is, what the nail pattern is, and just a whole bunch of stuff. But they require it now. So it makes a big difference in your insurance if you have a clean 4-point and a good wind mitigation. So I did a video on picking the perfect home as an inspector once you find a home, things to check out. I'm going to post that below or at the end of this video, so check that one out.
I watch your videos. I want you to know that.
Do you really?
All right, Bill, give me tip number 8.
Truthfully, take into consideration some resale value. Not that you're necessarily going to plan on selling your house. You know, but if you ask me when I was 20 and I bought my first house, if I was probably going to stay there forever. That was what my mindset was.
Yeah, me too. It just never happens.
It's just reality. It's not going to happen.
But now that I'm 56, I think I can say it's going to happen.
Yeah, yeah. Fast forward 30 years, I've been through a couple houses, and yeah, there's really no. I don't think there's such thing as a forever home, truthfully. But hey, they're out there, I'm sure. But just take that into consideration.
Right, like my
if you
wife.
do need to sell in 4 or 5 years, think about that.
Yeah, definitely resell. Like us, like me and my wife, we're not planning to sell. We are planning to build, you know, another house to get away, but we're not planning to sell the house we're in now until we have to. Tip number 9. Let me think. HOA. If you're moving into a place that has a homeowners association, really check them out. Check out their financials. Talk to the people that live there. Check out their rules. You can chime in on this one, Bill.
Yeah, if you're going to move into a neighborhood that's got an HOA, they're totally fine. My neighborhood's got an HOA. One of my previous neighborhoods had an HOA, but whew, they were tough. You know, some of them are more strict than others. So just know the rules. That's the big thing.
Yeah.
You know, know the rules, know what your expectations are when you're going in. You think you know, maybe you don't. But you can kind of get a gist of how things are based on the neighborhood and reading through their documents. You know, that's the big thing. They have to provide you the documents as part of the contract, so you can know going in full well what the HOA covenants and restrictions are. And I'm telling you, please read those.
Yeah,
so many people get them and they throw them in the junk drawer or whatever.
Yeah,
and then until they get in trouble.
Yeah, that's true. HOA, very important. Review them.
Yep.
All right, bring us home. Tip number 10.
Tip number 10. At the end of the day, trust your instincts. If it doesn't feel right, don't do it.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying, I get it. You know, I just made a purchase. Right before I was getting ready to sign on the dotted line for said purchase, relatively large sum of money. Something started kicking in and I'm going, do I really want to do this? What am I doing?
Right.
Holy smokes. Call it buyer's remorse, whatever the case is. I hadn't bought it yet.
Yeah.
It was pre-buy remorse.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, trust your instincts. My gut was, I already figured out what I needed, why I needed. I did the math. Financially, it made sense for us. It just worked out all the way around. Trust your gut. And so I stuck with my gut, even though half my brain was going, don't do it. The other half of my brain's like, it makes sense, do it. You're gonna save.
And that's a really, really important tip.
Yeah.
Go with your gut. Anyways, that's today's video. Do me a favor, subscribe if you consider this stuff, you like this stuff, you know, and hit the like button. And it's greatly appreciated that you guys are watching the videos, and there's gonna be a lot more coming. So thank you and have a great day.
Thanks. See you next time.
Bye.